it has been a hot minute since I recorded a video. It has been, I think, 2 months or so. It's a little weird to record again. So this video, we're going to talk about my March wrap up. I know it's March wrap up, April wrap up, and an update, I guess. I turned 30 recently. I thought I would mourn my 20s more. It doesn't really feel different now that I'm 30. It certainly pains to say that I'm 30 now, but it is what it is. I went back home for my 30th birthday because I wanted to spend time with family while I go through this a huge transition in life. But yeah, I went back to New York, spent time with family. My fiance came with me, and that was also like the downfall of my book reading journey, because I know myself when I am on vacation or I'm traveling, I don't really read as much. Instead of reading books, I've been watching Chinese dramas. C-dramas have taken over my life. Like, before starting this video, before getting ready and stuff, before even setting up my cameras, my lights, I was watching Veil of Shadows. I was rewatching Veil of Shadows because the first time was so painful. I am still stuck in the restaurant that I went back to rewatch it, and it's just as good. I was bawling for the past 2.5 hours, and then I'm like, you know what? I can't cry anymore, because if I do, I'm gonna look like crap on camera. So I paused it. I put on another C-drama. It's called Moonlit Reunion. It's on Disney Plus. It has Tian Xiwei and Xu Kai in it. It's I usually like this type of show. It's more supernatural, but for some reason it's not really catching my eye, not as much as Pursuit of Jade. Pursuit of Jade and Veil of Shadows, I'm on the rewatch for both of them right now. My mom introduced it to me and I loved it since the first episode. The comedy was on point, acting was on point, the cinematography was on point, it looks so beautiful, costume on point. It's just such a good show. And then I just kept watching it. It has 40 episodes. I finished it in 4 days. And they're like 45 minutes long. So I spent a good chunk of my time watching these dramas. If I'm not working, I'm just watching. Okay, I didn't really even pay much attention to my fiance, because I'm just like, I need to watch this. I cried so much, I laughed so much. Then Veil of Shadows, same thing. Although it does get dark, Veil of Shadows does get dark. It has 29 episodes. I want to say the first, starting maybe like episode 14 or 15th, I started bawling every single episode. Needless to say, I have been neglecting my reading a lot. I have not picked up a single book since I came back to LA. I lost all motivation to read books. Not saying that I won't pick up any books, because obviously I bought a lot of books. This might not compare to a lot of people, but I bought a lot of books. I bought a lot of audiobooks. So my book journey is not going to end. It's just that now it's going to include Chinese dramas for however long, because I do have a face. This is also why I don't watch Chinese dramas a lot, because I get so sucked into it that I don't want to do anything else. Like, even K-dramas do not have such a hold on me. It's C-dramas. C-dramas, they are my kryptonite. But then again, I also snap back really quickly from C-drama, so we'll see how long this phase lasts. I do want to keep watching it just because it has a lot of Chinese culture, obviously, and I am Chinese. I want to keep, exploring this part of my cultural identity. But yeah, let's get into the wrap-ups. In March, I read 15 books. I was very proud of myself, and then of course April hit and I only read 5. The first book that I read in March, my brain is super, my first book that I read in March was The Lies of Lena. And I gave this book a 4.5 stars. Okay, so there's a kingdom, right? There are 3 walls. If you've ever seen Attack on Titans, just imagine those 3 walls. Lena lives on the outer wall where all of the peasants live, and then the middle wall is where the middle class lives. Like, you know, you know, you could, it's representation, you know, of the caste system. So outer wall, the poorest, the peasants. The middle wall, you're doing pretty well. You're merchants, you're middle class, and then the inner wall, you're rich, and then the center is the royals. Lena is a mage. Mages are banned. Her mother is also a mage. Her mother, my Lulu just jumped on my swing chair. I don't really know what she's doing. Anyway, her mother's also a mage. And her mother creates elixirs for a living, kind of like potions, but obviously because she's a mage, she would sprinkle some of her magic into the elixir to make it work better than a typical elixir, and Lena would help deliver them in the middle wall. But there's a curfew. I believe they only have maybe a few hours, like maybe 2 to 3 hours to be inside. One day she was delivering these elixirs to the inner wall people, and this group of bullies of they're from like the inner wall, not the middle wall, but the inner wall, gets picked on by them, and she gets saved by this swordsman. His name is Quill. So eventually they develop this bond, and from strangers they went to being friends, and friends they very quickly went to becoming lovers. And Quill is training Lena with like just swordsmanship skill. She always wants to know how to fight, how to protect herself, and not have to rely on magic. You know, Lena has her secrets of her being a mage and stuff, but Quill also has his secrets. Lena really wants to find out what Quill is hiding from her, which is kind of hypocritical because, girl, you're not telling him your secret. And the day that she was going to tell him that she's a mage, she secretly followed him all the way to the center of the walls. She figures it out that he is the crown prince. The rest of this book follows Lena as to what she should do. Tragedy just hits, and then Lena runs, and Quill is just, or Silas is just heartbroken, thinking that Lena died. It's just a whole thing. I gave this a 4.5. It is a pretty interesting read. I have yet to read the second book because I have found myself to be not a very good follow-up person when it comes to having to read more than one book to finish a story. I do want to finish it. I just, when I was done with this book, I immediately was looking for a different book to read or to listen to because I was listening to The Lies of Lena on audiobook, and I drive a lot for work, and so a lot of the times I consume my books through the audiobooks, which sucks because book 2 isn't out on audiobook yet. Yeah, rather than finishing the duology, I just went on to listen to another book. It's called Two Can Play. It's a very short book by Ali Hazelwood. It's about 2 lead designers from 2 different game indie companies. They're rivals. It's I wouldn't really say this is enemies to lovers, but really it's a misunderstanding. And normally I hate misunderstandings and miscommunication tropes. I loathe it with a passion because it's just like, why can't you just talk it out? But this miscommunication really, it didn't last too long. In the book, it lasted like a couple of years or so. But as a reader, you're in the present. You're not, you know, the book didn't start from when the miscommunication happened. It started towards like the middle towards the end. So it wasn't that bad. I didn't hate the misunderstanding trope. It got solved pretty quickly, to be honest, the second they started talking about it. But it's about these 2 companies. They want to create and develop this game. It was a book first, or a comic strip, a comic book. It's going to be turned into a game. But because this game is huge, they really want to be able to do a good job. So these 2 companies, they come together to a retreat to hopefully be able to see if they can work together. If they can't work together and this retreat fails, then they're gonna have to see who is going to get this opportunity to create this game. I believe it's Jesse and Violet. Viola. They're forced to kind of be the voice of reason for these two companies because their CEO's not doing anything because they were dating and then they broke up. So the CEO's not really doing anything to calm the storm that's happening, that's brewing inside within these two companies. So it's really up to Jesse and Viola to kind of be like, listen, hey, we have a job to do. let's call it. Yeah, they start working together. They start talking, and eventually they finally come together and realize why is it that Viola and Jesse don't get along, and it's a very dumb reason. It gets solved very, very quickly, and it has a happy ending. It's a cute story. I think I rated it 4 stars. I don't know if I would reread it, but it's a good time. It's fun. And then I read a trilogy, the Hollows Road trilogy. This one was a little hard for me to get into. I read the Darkly Madly duology, and people were recommending the Hollows Row trilogy because it's by the same author. The writing has improved immensely since the Darkly Maddie duology, the duet. So I'm like, okay, let me give this another try, because I did attempt to read this or listen to it about a year ago, and I couldn't get into it. For the first book, I had to listen to it and read. I had to immersive read, which I already do already, but this one I actually really had to pay attention because I'm like, if I skip anything, I'm gonna get lost in the story. And not in a good way. I just need my memory refreshed. Like, what the heck is this book about? I know what it's about, but I forget the names, the location, and the details. Okay, I remember the general idea of the book. So there is a criminal investigator. Her name is Halen. In the beginning of the first book, we get dropped in the middle of a courtroom. Halen is testifying as a professional criminal investigator against Callum. He's a professor. He's an incarcerated expert of the occult. Callum is on trial because he is a suspect of the Harbinger killings. And it's like, this is a serial killing case. You know, this is a serial killer because there's evidence to link one of the victims to Caleb. He's the only person who's had any link to the Harbinger case. She testifies against him. He gets sent to jail. And then a couple of months later, she gets brought on to help out on another case in Hollows Row. There's these gruesome murders happening. There's a lot of missing people. And, you know, she's in need of Callum's expertise. She finds a way to get Callum as a consultant on the case, which is very looked down upon, you know, by other people. But she's just like, I need him. I don't know what you want me to do. I freaking need him because he's an expert on these stuff. I'm not. So I'm gonna need you to help me help you solve these cases. So Halen and Callum start working together, and there is this tension between them. This, because, you know, she freaking sent him to jail. It's just, I'm not gonna spoil anything because there's 3 books, and you know, you learn in progression. There's this tension between them where Halen is like, I don't know if I should trust this guy, but there's just this sexual attraction towards one another that she's like, I kind of want to trust you, and you're kind of helping me with this case, and you are giving me leads, so there's no reason not to trust you, but my instinct is telling me to run. Yeah, this is a slow burn. This is a slow burn. This kind of reminds me of True Detective, the first season with Matthew McConaughey meets Silence of the Lambs. It's that kind of nitty gritty grime kind of feel of the book. It's very dark. It's the very dark tone to the book. It revolves heavily on the mystery and the decoding of the occult and the messages and stuff. So it is interesting. I don't know if I would reread this trilogy. I did. What ratings did I give this? I gave the book 1 and 2 of 4 stars, and then book 3 I gave it a 3.5 stars. Why did I give it a 3.5 stars? Why? Oh, I gave it a 3.5 stars because I thought the third book was kind of draggy, and I got bored a few times because I'm like, we can wrap this up sooner. I don't know. I just kind of felt it was a little draggy. But overall, this is a pretty good series. I would definitely recommend it if you like more of the mystery vibe and the crime solving vibe and heavy tension. But also this does have spice in it. So just if you do read it, just be aware of that. And then what else did I read? I read Wolf. Do I have that book here? I think I do. I have to find it. I don't think I've ever read a biker gang romance. I'm not really into it. I'm not into Harleys. I'm more of a sport bike kind of girl. But this is a Wolf is a biker gang romance, and it's I like it a lot. And this is about Brinley. She becomes really attracted to Wolf, the head of this biker gang. I forgot the name of it. Don't ask me the details because this is, like I said, this is over a month ago, and I am somebody who has a pea-sized brain when it comes to retaining information with books. I'm lucky if I even remember the general plot, the generic, the plot of the story, because I'm just, after a few days of just reading books, my brain just throws the names out, and just because it's making space, it's making space for new books. I read somewhere that it's my introverted brain that need to make space, but I don't know how true that is. It just may be that I have terrible memories, but it is what it is. So that's why I have to write notes, and I have to keep looking down on my phone. But Brinley, she becomes kind of involved with Gabriel Wolf, and they kind of enter into this relationship. It's very spicy. I just remember that it's very spicy. Wolf was giving very much the mafia don, like, don't touch my woman or you're gonna die kind of, type of stuff. And Brinley was very, very well protected and well guarded, and she eventually becomes a badass, and I enjoy that kind of protagonist. Also, one thing that I do remember about this book is that in the epilogue, a lot of books, they like to be like, oh yes, a few years down the road or a year later, the couple, they have twins or babies, they're married, they have a dog, they have a cat, they're happily ever after. But this book shows you what happens 17 years later. It's you don't see that very often, and so it left a very, very big impression in my brain, and being like, okay, this one is here to stay. Everything else can leave, but this 17 time jump is here to stay. I gave this book, I think, a 4.5. I personally really like the narration. It's a duet narration, but I recommend it to my best friend. She felt like the female narrator, she was a little too whiny. I didn't think so, but to each their own. This female narrator also narrated Blood of Hercules and Bonds of Hercules, so maybe that's why I have a bias towards her. I really enjoy listening to her. The next 2 books that I read, do I have it here? It's Yours Truly. I also read Part of Your World, Yours Truly. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I just kind of felt like the only reason why I kept reading this book was because of Jacob. So we have Brianna and Jacob, and they are both doctors. Jacob is a true introvert, and he doesn't know how to express his feelings very well. He doesn't do well in crowds. He always has to kind of rehearse what he has to say before meeting the person. I do that too. not on Jacob's level, but I do understand his anxiety when it comes to being around other people and having confrontations and just being like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I said the wrong thing. Now if they hate me, oh my gosh, I can't ever see them ever again. I have to change cities. I have to change my job. I have to cut ties with everybody I know. I love Jacob. Love Jacob. Jacob and Brianna, there was a misunderstanding. They kind of start off on the wrong foot, and Brianna ends up really disliking Jacob. It took Jacob writing a letter to her to just kind of solve misunderstanding between them, and was just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I'm not gonna tell you what the misunderstanding is because it's just, you have to read the book. Just telling you that there was a misunderstanding. He wrote a letter, she read it, they solved it, and then it's cute because they kept passing around these letters that they would write to each other, like they would pass notes, like they're sixth graders, you know. It's very cute, very very cute because they start learning more about each other. Brianna's brother has kidney problems. He needs a donor. His blood type is really rare. He's been on the list for a long time for a new kidney. And it just so happens that Jacob is a universal donor. He eventually donates one of his kidneys. Originally, Jacob wanted to keep it a secret from her. He just discovered this newfound friendship with Brianna, and he doesn't want her to feel indebted to him, where he starts feeling like, oh, you're just my friend because I donated one of my organs to your brother. So he wanted to keep it a secret, but it never pans out, does it, in books? And so Brianna ends up finding out. Brianna obviously becomes super grateful, and Jacob has his own problems. His ex-girlfriend, after they broke up, 3 months later, his ex-girlfriend started dating his younger brother, and he just found out that they are gonna get married. Messed up. Very, very, very messed up. You know? And Jacob, when he was getting interrogated by his family, he doesn't know what to do because he wants to be there to support these two people. And his family is just like, well, why would you want to do that? You know, why would you want to go to support them? He just wants to move on from this whole situation. And so he lies to his family and says, I have a girlfriend. And so he has to find a fake girlfriend to go to all of these different family functions and to the wedding. That's where Brianna comes in. Brianna becomes his fake girlfriend. Thus, we have the fake dating trope in this book. And, you know, I love fake dating because fake dating in books, in movies, in shows always lead to true romance. But this is heavy on the miscommunication. It is. Oh my gosh. It's just like miscommunication after miscommunication. It just piles up. It snowballs. And it was just, it was so stressful reading this. I'm stressed even thinking about it. And it's been like over a month since I read this. It's just all the PTSD is coming back. I didn't know that when I first started this book, I was going to stress this much. I was so stressed. This all happened, I think, within 3 months. I think, or a month. I forget. Oh my gosh. But I just know that it's in a very short amount of time, a whole bunch of miscommunication has been happening, and it's just. And also, Brianna, she doesn't let Jacob explain. Like, I can't talk about this book anymore. I did enjoy this book up until chapter 25. I literally just flipped to it, and chapter 25, that's when the miscommunication starts happening. Yes. Can you see this? Halfway. This whole time, just this amount of pages, it's just stress-topia right here, okay? It's just, in this book, the two saving graces were Jacob and his letters. And, you know, the families and stuff, but Jacob was the real reason why I kept going, because I'm just like, Brianna, you cannot do Jacob wrong. You cannot. So, I finally finished it. I don't think I would read this again. As much as I liked it, I don't think I can handle this kind of stress. So let's put this away. Now we're gonna move on to my favorite Abby Jimenez book ever. It's part of the same series. It's Part of Your World. It's funny because I literally read this series backwards. I read Just for the Summer first because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I borrowed it from Libby. Let me listen to it. The other two weren't available yet. And then Yours Truly became available on Libby. And I said, click, borrow. Read that. And now that I read 2 out of 3 books, I can't not read the first book. And it ended up being my favorite, which I'm actually glad that I read it backwards because better to end off with a bang, right? Than to start off with a bang. I think so. We have Alexis. She is this I think internal medicine surgeon or doctor at the Roy Hume Hospital in Minneapolis. Daniel, he's the mayor of this small town that's about a few hours away from Minneapolis, and he loves making furniture. He loves it. He has his own side job that he does and everything. And one day, Alexis came back from a funeral. One night, she gets stuck in a ditch. Because why wouldn't she, right? And she's in these fancy clothes. She's in a cocktail dress. It's, you know, it's very fancy. She's in heels. And so she's calling for a tow truck, but the tow truck isn't coming because the tow truck driver is drunk at a tavern in town. Daniel drives up and finds Alexis stranded, and so he does this manly thing and pulls her out the ditch. But it's already nighttime, and where she's supposed to go, she can't just drive back to Minneapolis because it's a couple of hours still. And so she goes into town, the same town where the drunk tow driver is and where Daniel is from, and she walks into this tavern, this bar, where everyone, all of the locals, they're there. Alexis sees Daniel there with his friends, but his friends, they're like betting who can take her home. Daniel, being the really nice guy that he is, he walks up to Alexis and tells her about this bet that's going on. And she's just, what if I went home with you? Not because of anything, but because Daniel seems like the nicest guy there and is the most trustworthy. And then Alexis finds out that Daniel's the mayor of this small town. And they sleep together. Down the line, Alexis just keeps thinking about Daniel. They end up meeting each other more and more. Mainly, Alexis goes down to the small town. She drives down, and Daniel owns an Airbnb, and so she would stay there. But they are from different worlds. Alexis doesn't want her relationship with Daniel to get exposed. She knows that if anybody finds out, it'll be the end. And she's more worried about Daniel getting attacked rather than her, because she really likes Daniel. She ends up really liking Daniel, and Daniel really, really, really likes Alexis. And we do have a third act breakup, and when this third act breakup happens, it was so heartbreaking. But Alexis grows a pair. There's this gala, this dinner happening, and this is like the peak moment of the book. She stands up to everyone. She speaks up for herself, and she finds an opportunity to build kind of like a clinic for the small town that Daniel and all these locals live in, because they don't have a clinic. They don't have like a hospital or anything. They have to drive out of town to a big city like Minneapolis to be able to get any real help. So yeah, I'm skipping around a lot. This is probably not the best video for you to stumble upon, especially as your first video of mine, because I don't know if this video is all over the place. I'll know once I edit this, but hopefully it's not too confusing. These are just like the big things that I happen to remember in my pea-sized brain. But I love this book. This book, out of all the Abby Jimenez's books, 5 stars. 5 stars. It might even be a 6 stars. Anyway, I'm rambling. Now, let's, I I have this year in 2026, I haven't stumbled upon a 1 star yet up until this book. Let's just say that when I finished this book, I could only stare into space. I couldn't believe that wasted time on this book. So Maven goes home with her daughter. Maven is like 30 years old, 40 years old. I forget what she does for a living, but she ends up going back home with her daughter. I think she's about 10 or 11. And it's because Maven's grandmother passed away. And so she goes back for her funeral, but before the funeral happens, she gets a phone call from the director of the funeral home saying that her grandmother's body is missing. She's like, WTF is going on? Why is she missing? Why are all of her clothes that she was wearing in the casket just kind of sprawled out on the floor? We don't know. The camera didn't catch it, so you have no idea where my grandmother is, why her clothes are here, and like what she got chucked through the window or something, because that's the only way that she can leave this place without having to go through the front door. Do you not have cameras? Oh, well, the cameras don't really work. So Maven is so confused. And she starts looking into her grandmother's deaths as well as her ancestors' deaths. And she finds out that all of them died from very, very clumsy accidents. You know, sure, if one person died because of a clumsy accident, it's sad, it's tragic, this could have been prevented. But every single one of her ancestors, her great-grandmother, her great-great-great-grandmother, why are we such a clumsy family? Like, what's going on? And while she was looking into the mystery, she comes across her first love. And this is truly a Romeo and Juliet type of story, because they fell in love, but their families are at odds with each other. They're at war with each other. Maven found out that she became pregnant, wanted nothing to do with her. She leaves town, had her daughter, and then now 10 or 11 years later, after a decade, she comes home. MMC, it's Ronin. You know when you're reading a book or watching a show or a movie and you're just 50% in and you're just thinking, this thing that's supposed to be interesting, when is it gonna get interesting, and when is it gonna start? When are things gonna start happening? Because I'm 50% in and nothing is happening, and it's getting dragged out. I'm so confused, and just Maven's character pissed me off. I couldn't with her. And then they didn't even 70%, I believe 70% into the book, that's when they talk about everything and their feelings. And then what the hell is that ending? What the hell was that plot twist? I can't even give anything away, because I feel like so much happened and yet so little happened at the same time. This is very much a WTF type of book. I felt like the ending is such a cop-out. I just felt like there was so many things that went wrong in this book. For example, the dad. Ronin's dad is pretty much just there to feed us information, and not even the accurate information. He was gaslighting us. I mainly just kept reading because I wanted to know Ronin's family, like their secret and stuff. It was such a letdown. I knew there was gonna be spice, but had I known that it was gonna involve some monster, it just kind of, it came out of the left field, and I don't know how to feel about it. It's freaking weird, and I'm not yucking anybody's yum. If that's what you like, you do you, but I just need to be mentally prepared for something like that. It can't just be a magic trick where you pull out a bunny and be like, oh, don't know, like, we can't do that here. I was listening to this book while I was driving, and this happened, and I dissociated because I was like, this can't be happening right now. No way. No. I'm dissociating right now just thinking about it. I'm still baffled. But yeah, so anyway, also Ronan has a brother. They kept talking about how they need to find a cure for his brother because it's too late for Ronan and everybody else. I read on because I wanted to know more about this disease, this cure. I mean, it turns out that we find out what the curse is, or what this is, this thing that they're trying to cure is. But after that one scene, he only gets brought up once. After that, never heard of him again. The author was just like, I'm gonna put this piece right here. This is the author. This is the brother. The author's like a cat. Okay, you're there for my entertainment? I don't want you anymore. Well, then why'd you put him there in the first place? If you're gonna have him be a chess piece in your game, in your story, at least utilize him a little bit more. I just felt like if you're just gonna have him there for one scene, just don't even mention him. And then with the whole Blackthorn lineage, we're back to Maven now. They know magic. I don't remember much of it, but I guess they unalive men to help them with their magic. That's why there are no men involved in the Blackthorn family. It's all women. When Maven finds out that everybody that she trusted is in on this whole little scheme, she didn't really freak out. I truly don't know how to explain this book in clarity. I don't know. I think this book, it just didn't need to happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I read this book because I really wanted to read Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger, which is the author who wrote this book. Yeah, I have no words. 1 star. If I could give it a 0 star, I would give it a 0 star. Anyway, my next book, which I actually really did like this book. This book I gave a 4 star. It's called Loving a Vampire is Total Chaos. You know, the title of this book, it reminds me of the newer animes that are coming out. The earlier animes, like Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Peach Girl, Card Captor Sakura, Bleach. You know, they're a few words. They're maybe like 2-3 words. Now it's a whole sentence for like the title for the anime and the manga, and I'm just like, bro, what? It's overwhelming. When I read the title of this, I was debating if I should read it or listen to it. Glad I read it. It's a cute story. It's about a vampire. He's this sunshine, golden retriever, happy-go-lucky vampire who's a serial killer, who is also a vigilante. He goes off to unalive these people who are just not very, very, very good people. The vampire, his name is Zav, and we have Celine, and she is an investigator. So she's investigating all of these serial killings that are being committed by Zav. He becomes smitten by Celine because they're meant to be together. They're fated ones. They're mates. And he is so obsessed with her. He could turn a red flag into a green flag. Literally, he moved in next to her. He unalived Celine's neighbor because he attempted to get with her and was not really talking smack, but I guess Zav just didn't really like the way that the neighbor guy talked about her, and so he wanted to teach him a lesson but end up punching his lights out. So he just ends up moving in next door, and Celine, when she came home, she's like, where's the other dude who was living there? Like, why didn't he tell me that he was gonna move? Well, I don't know, he just kind of left, and I just wanted to move in. And Zav, because he wanted to monitor Celine's every move, anytime Celine would go somewhere, for example, they went to the bowling alley, Celine's best friend Ava and her boyfriend was like, oh, you should go on a double date with us. We have somebody set up for you. And so they went on this double date. Zav obviously can't go without Celine being like, hey, what are you doing here and alone? Well, that's weird. Well, Zav ends up getting a job at the bowling alley to watch Celine. and her date. Another incident where Zav is just everywhere. Actually, there's two. Celine had to attend this seminar, and guess who's teaching the seminar? Zav. He becomes the seminar's professor for the day. And then another time is when Celine went out for a lunch break with Ava, and Zav becomes her waiter. It's just like, bro, how are you doing all of these odd jobs? Like, what do you actually do for a living? Well, he's a vampire, and I don't even really know if he has a job. His only real job is to unalive bad people and to observe you. It's starting to come back to me. There's more of a story. There's two separate crimes going on. First is Zav's murder spree, and then there's these people who have gone missing. A whole bunch of people have gone missing, and it turns out it's Zav's ex-girlfriend kidnaps Celine. Which is also another thing is Celine ends up finding out that Zav is a vampire, and she's just like, okay. I mean, well, that explains a lot, because the one time Zav got really, really hurt, like he got poisoned, like vampire poisoned, to where like the hospital will not know what's going on with him, and he tells Celine, I need blood, and she goes to get him blood from a friend of hers who she doesn't even know that is a blood bank provider for Zav. It's a lot. And so she's just like, well, yeah, like that explains it, why you could be everywhere at once and stuff. She accepted that Zav is a vampire very, very, very easily. But then after she finds out that he's the one who's committing all these murders, she's just like, that's it. I need to take a step back from you. And that's when the ex-girlfriend swoops her up and just takes her away. And then the final battle happens between the ex-girlfriend and Zav, which is a very quick battle. And there's a second book that revolves around Ava, and I have yet to read that. Because like I said, I'm not good with following up with the second book. Which, I mean, technically this book already ended. If I wanted to pick it back up, like the second book up, if I wanted to pick the second book up, I can. And I will. I just don't know when. But I gave this book a 4-star, I think, because the humor in this is pretty on point. I do like this book. It was very enjoyable. Next book is White Rose Painted Red. And this is a reverse harem book. It has 1 girl and 3 guys. I think this is a duology or a trilogy. I forgot. I think that they're going to come out soon. I really love the audiobook for this. The narrators were phenomenal. This book is about Aurora, and she's on the run with her dog, 11, Ellie, that she got this name from Stranger Things. She's running away from her abusive ex-boyfriend in the middle of the night, and it's pouring rain. While she was driving, this guy kind of runs out of the road, and she hits him with her car. And he ends up being okay. He has 2 other friends with him who are just like, man, are you okay? And stuff. As much as Aurora felt really bad for hitting the guy, his name is Sven. Sven, right? It was Sven. 7. Not Sven. This isn't Frozen. It's 7. As guilty as Aurora felt, she started getting scared because she's like, who are these people? Am I gonna get kidnapped? What are they gonna do to me now that I hit one of their friends? So we have 7, Atticus, and Elijah. Atticus is more like the I don't want to say leader, but he's almost like the older brother. Atticus all of a sudden goes up to Aurora and said, do you know how to cook? No, not cook, because he'll handle the cooking. But do you clean? We're looking for a housemaid, and we'll pay you this amount of money. Aura's like, we'll have nowhere to go. I would go back home, but my ex-boyfriend is gonna know where to find me. So they drive back. The 4 of them drive back to the guy's hideout. Not hideout, but like their mansion. While they're driving up to the mansion, she's just thinking, what do these guys do for a living? How can they live in such a big place? Well, these guys, they are kind of criminals. They steal stuff, like really expensive stuff. Like, Elijah is a really good painter, and he would, for example, he would paint the Mona Lisa, and then they would steal the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. It's not actually the Mona Lisa. I don't think it is. It's a different painting. Seven has anger issues, where he has like bloodlust issues, and so does Atticus. Like something there's a screw loose in each one of the guys, but Aurora likes it because she also has a screw loose, and she ends up sleeping with all of them. Elijah and Seven like her the most. Atticus is just kind of wary of her because he doesn't know her. Neither does Elijah or Seven, but they got to know her. Atticus never really made the effort. He's very, very suspicious of everybody. He wants to be able to protect Seven and especially Elijah. Elijah went through some stuff in the past, which you will find out in the book, to where Atticus is just like, this is my baby. Okay, you cannot hurt him. There's this attraction between Aurora and Atticus, and they eventually gain each other's trust, and they sleep together, and then all of a sudden it gets broken because of Atticus's very, very small suspicion of her, and without even confronting her or asking her about something, and he called her a and she's only there to hurt them. She doesn't really care about any of them. She's working with the enemy, and Aurora is just blindsided because she just woke up. And the last thing that she remembered doing with Atticus was, being in bed with him. And now he has a gun in her face and threatening to kill her. And there's a bigger story going on. There's a whole revenge plot. Atticus wants to use Aurora as a Trojan horse and bring her to the enemy side to gather information. It has a very strong FMC. She is very adaptable. I like this book a lot. Next book that I read was Hearts Held by Barbed Wire. Everybody, they say that the vibe is very Peaky Blinder. I've never watched Peaky Blinders. It's not my kind of show. I personally can't make that kind of connection for you guys. A lot of people said that this book is really dark. I don't know if it's because I read a lot of dark stuff. This wasn't really that dark to me. It has its tragic moments, yes, but dark, I'm not so sure. I don't know what that says about me. This book is about the FMC. What's her name again? Brielle. Brielle, I think she's like a 30-year-old something woman, and she's trying to leave England so that she could go to America to escape her current life. And she ends up meeting Everett. Everett is this mafia boss. He's the typical mafia boss, to where he's hard on the outside but only soft for the woman that he cares for. Danger lurks in every corner. If you've ever read any mafia romances, it's a typical mafia romance book. The guy becomes obsessed with the girl, and he tries to do everything that he can to keep her safe, and at the same time he's not afraid of dirtying his hands and bloodying his hands. Hello, why are you sitting in front of my light? Why? Oh. Meow, meow, meow. No, thank you. Ow. No. 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 Meow, 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 meow. Okay, go. Ugh. And then there's also rival mafia bosses. It's between the Germans and the Italians, I think. And there's these mafia gang wars that's happening, and Everett has to keep Brielle safe. He makes sure to keep one of his brothers, Bobby, right? Is it Bobby? Yeah, Bobby, to keep Brielle safe, as well as everyone else to keep her safe. As much as I really like Everett, Bobby takes the cake for this book. He's so sweet, very caring, especially to Tilly. Tilly is Brielle's best friend, and they're both nurses. And Bobby becomes enamored by Tilly. Yeah, but pretty much, even though this is Brielle and Everett's book, I was more invested in Bobby and Tilly's relationship because it's such a puppy love. But then tragedy happens to where Bobby thinks that Tilly is dead and he just goes nuts. He goes crazy. It's a very heartbreaking transition for Bobby. He went from this guy who's just as innocent as he can be being in the mafia, but after he finds out that Tilly died, he becomes an alcoholic and he relies on drugs so that he could alleviate the pain of losing Tilly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't remember too much about this book. What did I give this book? I gave it a 4 stars. I also read the Face Spy Academy trilogy. What did I give this? I gave the first book, Avalon Tower, 4 stars. Veil of Dreams, 5 stars. Lady of the Lake, 4.5 stars. It's an urban fantasy trilogy. We follow Nia. She's visiting the south of France because it's her birthday. The south of France is where the Veil is. So there's the humans, and then there are the Fays on the other side. The Veil keeps the border there so that you can't really cross it. And while Nia is having her birthday lunch at this restaurant, she spots this group of demi-fays. They are being hunted by both the fays and the humans. Fays and humans think that the demi-fays are abominations. Nia can't help but feel bad for these people, and they're just like, why are they killing them? There's no reason. So Nia tries to save all of this group of demi-fays and successfully brings them to the boat to get them to safety. Now, while she was getting them to safety, they went through the veil. And it's really hard for even fays to go through. Fays need a certain fey magic to help them get through the veil and to feel okay. And Nia felt fine. So she's just like, well, that's weird. Well, I guess maybe the veil's not that strong. Nia and the group of demi-fays, they get to the boat where Nia meets and sees her first love. Raphael was her first love, and Nia is just, she's still holding a grudge against him. Be like, you broke my heart. You said that I'm trash. Nia ends up boarding the boat too, because if the human officials found out that Nia helped out the demi-fays, it's not going to end up good for her. So she ends up leaving with the demi-fays and Raphael, and they end up going to the Face Spy Academy to train as a spy. She finds out that she's also a demi-fay. She finds out that she's a sentinel. A sentinel is somebody who can transport other fays through the veil without any repercussion, which is what happened when she was helping the group of demi-fays. Everybody at the academy is training so that they can take down the fays who, they're fighting because there's prejudice against them. It's a whole Merlin, King Arthur type of story, which I don't really have too much knowledge about. I've never really been heavy on the King Arthur lore, but I was still able to just figure out what was going on. I'm so sorry. My cat is playing with her cat toy, so hopefully you're not gonna get distracted by the bell sound. She starts her training at the academy, and as she was training, she finds out that she has a different ability. She has a second power. She's a telepath. So if you're a telepath and if you're a sentinel, when the two powers come together, the telepath and the sentinel powers come together, it becomes mind control. So Nia can literally mind control people. This book is on Nia's journey. That's all I'm really going to tell you about this trilogy, because if I keep going on with the rest of the book and the other two books, it's gonna ruin the surprise for you. But I really enjoyed this trilogy. It's really good. It has enemies to lovers, actual enemies, true enemies to lover. That's more for a second book. We have the Fae versus demi-human versus human. We have forbidden love. We also have hidden identities. It's really good. I think the only qualm I have about this trilogy is the third book. I just kind of felt like it wrapped up too quickly. That's the only reason why the third book, I gave it a 4.5 stars and not 5 stars. That concludes my March wrap up. For April, it's very thinned out. The first one is Kingdom of Flesh and Ash, which is part of the Blood and Ash series. This took me a while to finish and get into. I rated it 4.5 stars. It did take me a long time to get into, but I want to say maybe 30% in, I really got into it. The ending of the book really got me, and I couldn't wait to read the third book. And ever since, I've been reading the third book. It is so hard for me to get into this third book. I feel like that's the case for this series, and it really sucks. At the start of every book, it's just excruciatingly painful to get into. I don't know why. Right now it's on pause. I paused it because I'm not gonna force myself to finish it, because then I'm not having fun reading it. I read The Friend Zone next. I rated this a 5 stars, but to be honest, I can't remember much of the book. I know the ending impacted me a lot. I can't really remember 75% of the story. I just know that it ended really badly for Sloane, and I felt really bad for her. Kristen is a very frustrating character. I do remember that. I love Josh's character. He's also a fireman, so... But yeah, I can't really remember much about this book, and I just read it last month. Apparently it's a 5 star, but is it actually 5 stars if I can't remember it? Last but not least, I started The Dark Verse by Runix. I read 2 of Runix's books, and I cannot say that I'm a big fan, but I heard a lot about The Dark Verse, and I really, really wanted to give it a try. So I read The Predator, I read The Reaper, and I finished The Emperor when I was in New York. I started it and I finished it in New York. You know, it took me a while to get into The Predator. Finished it, I gave it a 3 stars. I just kind of felt like with the FMC's character, they said that she's this computer genius and she's a really great hacker. Or not a hacker, but like a program developer, maybe a hacker, I can't remember. But throughout the whole book, she didn't display any of her geniusness, her smartness, her, like, anything. It was boring reading about her. I don't know if it's because Runix wanted to give her character more growth in the second book, because she did step it up a lot and she ended up being useful throughout the whole book. But in the first book, I'm like, what is this? You're just getting yourself, like, into these situations and you don't know how to get out of it. Aren't you supposed to be smart? I don't know. I was very frustrated reading the first book, and I really enjoyed the second book. There's quite a few plot twists, and I really like the FMC and the MMC's chemistry together in the second book, not so much the first book. First book, the both of them were pissing me off. They just kept having these staring contests, and I'm just like, bro, what is this? There were a lot of, bro, what is this moments, and it was a tough read. The first book was a tough read for me. Second book, it went by very fast. In the first 2 books, we follow Tristan and Marana. Their families are at war with each other because that's a mafia romance. And Tristan and Marana end up having to work together so that they can figure out who stole Marana's code and who tried to frame Tristan for stealing it. Because in the beginning of the book, Marana thought that Tristan hired her ex-boyfriend to steal it from her. But it's not true. Tristan never hired the ex-boyfriend to do anything. There's a enemies become lovers trope. Obviously, dark romance, mafia romance, touch her and you die. There's a lot of spice. The spice is pretty spicy, but chemistry-wise, I just kind of felt like Dante and Amara had a lot more chemistry, even though they weren't taking up a lot of time in the first 2 books. My mind was always thinking about Dante and Amara and what are they doing and what's their relationship, which is the third book, The Emperor, and I really, really enjoyed it. They just have so much more chemistry. It's not Romeo and Juliet, but it's definitely forbidden love. It's about Dante trying to figure out his dad's lies because he can't confront him about it because he died in the second book. Dante's dad, not Dante, obviously. There's a lot of webs in both Dante and Amara's lives that needed to detangle. I'm kind of sad that they only have one book, but at the same time, I'm glad that it didn't get dragged out. I am done with my March wrap up and my April wrap up. We are in May now. I don't know when I'm gonna start reading again, but I still do want to share with you what I watch with just Chinese dramas. It might not be a lot of people's cup of tea, and that's fine. I genuinely just want to share with you guys what I've been watching, and hopefully you guys will get influenced to watch it too. I guess the one question that I have for you guys is, well, one, do you watch Chinese drama? Would you want to start, or would it be kind of like, no, it's not really up my alley? And then another question, I guess, is, do you have a 1-star read in 2026? And what book is it and why? Let me know why. But yeah,